Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, that is my hula dance for when I go to the Philippines. Jump in the water somewhere, because I mean you guys are surrounded by like all water, so I'm gonna take a dip. You guys probably have some pretty nice water there. The only beach I've ever been to, I actually have a video of it. The first time I ever went to the beach, it was in Santa Monica, California, and the water was disgusting. So I really hope to go to a place where the water is crystal clear and it's just nice. But I do have the game Wesley So versus Daniel Naroditsky. I'm sure you guys, a majority of you guys probably know about Daniel Naroditsky. He's also known as, believe Danya on YouTube. Pretty big YouTuber. But just following Wesley So. You know, something I did notice when I was watching the championships earlier is Carissa Yip is doing insane. She's kind of doing the same way that Jennifer Yu did, I think it was 2 years ago, when she just came in and got like 10 out of 11 or something like that. So Carissa Yip is in clear first by 1.5 points at least. So I definitely will be doing a video on her later. It might be this video, I'm not sure, but I will see. But for all my people in the Philippines, I will say mabuhay. Kamusta na aking magkaibigan. Appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Yeah, if you guys are ready to go, let's take a look and see what we have for this game. All right, so we got e4, e5, knight comes to f3. We see knight to c6, bishop to c4. We got knight to f6. We do see d3. So we have the Italian game, and it is the two knights. And then we do see h6. And, I mean, h6 might kind of look like it's just stopping bishop to g5. But Daniel has very different plans. Aggressive plans. We do see c3 for Wesley. So, just making sure that we can develop our bishop somewhere. Of course, not here or here. You know, we also kind of give like a little bit of a lift for our bishop. As promised, Daniel goes g5. So, I mean, you would think that, hey, man, you know what? Like, we're not castling on this side, bro. But you never know. Generally, I'll say this. When you do start throwing pawns like this forward, you're not going to castle on that side. It would probably be in your best interest not to. But every position is different. You have to assess the position and see what would be right for you. But we do see d4. And then we do have d6. Now, backing up, some of you guys might be wondering, okay, well, I mean, you know, isn't this just a pawn? I mean, you know, it doesn't seem to have the same exact workings as like the Berlin. Well, you know, if you do take the pawn here on e4, you will be looking at knight takes e5. And then as one of the best moves, one of the only moves really, d5 will come. And then you actually see bishop to b5. And you are at least going to have to give up a bishop. The important things to note in this particular position is the fact that your knight is not on f6. So it is not protecting the h5 square. So the queen has the ability to, you know, kind of swing out over there. You are also double attacking this piece here. And so, like I said, the bishop is going to have to come and protect because you definitely don't want one of, let's say, you just make a random move. You definitely don't want one of these coming up because then now you are losing the exchange. So yes, be very careful when you're just grabbing pawns. So we do see d6, a lot more principled move, just keeping everything solid. We got pawn takes e5, and white does not want to go into the Berlin type of a trade on d1. You know, Wesley So does go queen to e2. We see bishop to d6. We got h4. So just further adding insult to injury. Wesley So is saying, hey, man, I'm trying to break this down because if you do happen to castle kingside, I got something for you. So we do see g4, and then the knight comes back to h2. We see queen to e7. So, I mean, now as white, you're not really sure because, you know, white had the ability to castle already. So you're thinking maybe he might try to go queenside. We do see knight down to f1. Knight comes to h5. We do have knight to e3. And then we have a nice little attack tempo on the queen. Knight to f4. And you have a couple of different options. You know, you can always go queen to c2. You can go queen to d1, queen to f1. I mean, all kind of in the same ballpark. But what Wesley So played was, you know, probably one of the best. you are looking at throwing G3 at some point to knock this knight, because this knight is actually beautifully placed on this square. You don't want it to survive. So bishop does come to E6, and then we have G3. Okay, tactic time. We have reached a point in the game that if you do want to, actually, I forgot to mention the novelty. So after D6, we saw pawn takes E5, and that was a novelty of the game. Okay, but coming up to what we have right now. We have reached a point in the game that if you do want to pause the video and see if you can guess what gem Daniel Naroditsky plays in this position, go ahead and do so. Okay, so I think nobody's going to get this correct. I really honestly do, because I don't even think I would get this correct if I was playing the game, unless it was like theory of mine. But it's a really insane move, and you guys are like, just tell us. I'm gonna tell you. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you, bro. Yeah, it's insane, but it's the best possible move in the position, and it actually gives black like a nice advantage. And if you've seen this game already, I think you already know the move. But if you haven't, the move is castles long. Okay, it might look kind of insane because you're thinking, wait a minute, like my knight is just attacked, right? Like, so why didn't I move my knight? And so you're thinking, okay, out of all the Zwischenzug moves you can make, I mean, that didn't seem like it was one of them because there was like no type of tactic or anything. It seemed like at least maybe you go like bishop takes or something, right? No, you actually literally go castles long. And this is a really nice like tactical find for Daniel Naroditsky. You know, he is basically just saying that I'm going to give up my knight, but I'm going to get these really, really nice double pawns right here, or connected pawns, and I'm just going to clamp the position all the way down, which is the absolute correct thing to do. And so we do see knight to D5. Bishop takes D5, pawn takes D5. So now you have two knights on pre. You have this knight and this knight. It's like a little, like, you know, like directional arrow thing. It's insane. So you're like, what do you do in this position? Well, I mean, Danya really came prepared for this one. He said, I'm going to go ahead and go knight to A5, and I'm going to be down the piece. So Wesley Soul is like, you know, he sits there. He's like, man, you know what? I don't believe you. So he goes, pawn takes F4. Pawn does take F4 with check, or the discovered check. So the king does have to go somewhere. So we do see king to D1. You definitely don't want to pull one of these because you're going to be looking at F3. And then you're going to cry a river for the rest of the U.S. championships. So we do see king over to D1. Knight takes C4, queen takes C4. And then we have the immediate G3. And, you know, this, once we trade here, you know, this pawn can actually be a little bit annoying. So you definitely have to be playing very legitimately. And the problem is for white is the fact that they haven't moved this rook, this bishop, this knight, or this rook. And they're literally only playing with their queen. And so, I mean, it's kind of nice. It's kind of okay for white, but, I mean, you definitely have to be like a Wesley So to play this game right here as white. Pawn takes G3, pawn takes G3, and then you do see rook over to E1. A nice tempo move on the queen. Queen does come to F6. We see knight up to D2. We see king over to B8. We have knight up to E4. So, I mean, up until this point, I mean, Wesley So is playing out of this position. You know, because black definitely had, you know, the driver's seat, and they're definitely playing, you know, how they're supposed to play. But, you know, Wesley's just being Wesley, and he's actually started to get a nice little advantage. Queen does come to F5, and then we actually see bishop to E3. But this actually throws the win away. What you actually needed to do in this position is go knight takes D6, and then after rook takes D6, you would have bishop to F4. And as you can see right here, all of your problems that you would have being down are pretty much solved. We just took a sample variation. Rook would take D5 with check. King would slide over to C1. And this is why bishop to F4 was so crucial, because now you can slide to C1. You have G2, and then you have B4, you know, creating some space for your king to kind of step up to B2. Rook comes over to G8. You do see king to B2. Queen comes back to D7, and then bishop takes C7. Wanting to deflect the queen away so you can grab this rook. King goes to A8, and then you see bishop just back to F4. And you are down a pawn, but you are up an entire piece. So this is like literally the game right here. But like I said, we did see after queen to F5, we did see bishop coming to E3. And this actually allows black to, you know, start to gain some tempo. So you see rook H to E8, double attacking this knight right here. Well, not technically really, because you are looking at bishop sacrifice with the discover check. So don't be so hasty. So knight does take on D6, rook takes on D6, and then you do have bishop to A7 with check. And this is sacrificing the bishop, but this is allowing white to get into a drawn type of a scenario. Queen does take on, or king does take on A7. We see queen to A4 with check, king comes to B6. And so this is the first time we see this position. We see queen to B4 with check, king over to A6, queen back to A4 with check, king to B6. Second time we've seen the position. King down, queen down to B3 with check, king up to A7. We see queen to A4 with check, king down to B6, and now we have just drawn the game by threefold repetition. So as I told you, as I promised you guys earlier, it was a roller coaster. It was crazy. Definitely very nice play from both players. You know, you had, Danya making that knight sacrifice, which was beautiful. And then you had Wesley So being Wesley, playing out of the bad position that he was in and actually getting into a winning position. So it's a testament to how strong these players can play. And if, in case you're wondering, the reason that when you step over here, you got queen to A4 with check, king to B6, queen down to B3, king up to A7. The reason why you cannot step your king back is because every time you check on A4, you are double attacking. Or really, it doesn't even matter that you're double attacking. You are attacking this undefended rook on E8. So if we were to see queen to A4 with check, and you know, the king step back up here, you would actually be seeing, you know, either one. I mean, you can go ahead and just take here. This is probably a little bit better, just because you got the queen backing up, and then you're taking here, and then you can just go ahead and collect this pawn right here. And you are in super duper good shape. So that is the reason why black had to just continuously be checked forever, because you would just get completely demolished in this position. But yes, that is that game. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. I really like this game, even though it ended up being a draw. I really like how it was like really up and down and roller coaster. So I mean, there was definitely some good chances for each player, so it makes it very interesting. But yes, I will get rolling. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and do a Carissa Yip game. So I'll get that down. So look out for that. I appreciate everybody very much. Makito tayo mamaya paalam, and I will see you guys next time.